everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. I'm back. I'm not just in picture, but I was able to fix they fixed my computer for me, so I'm back. And thank you so much, everyone, for an amazing webinar yesterday. Let me just pause and ask my colleague to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Judy Stevenson. I'm the County Small Business Navigator, and right now, focused on all things grants.
That is correct. So again, if you're here, that means that you are either here to learn about the Microenterprise Stabilization Program, or you are about to apply, you're gathering the documents to apply, or you've already applied. So we are going to go through a brief overview of the program, and then from there we will open it up for Q&A. So this program provides financial assistance for income eligible for-profit businesses, and we will talk about the income eligible part as we go down the list. These are for micro enterprises, so really small businesses that have 5 or fewer employees, and you have to demonstrate a loss in the month of April as a result of the public health emergency that we're in. And if your business and also your household income meets the eligibility criteria, your business can get up to $10,000. So again, I'm saying business and household income because those are the 2 elements that will determine eligibility for this program. The business side of it, that's the county side, where we'll just go over the revenue loss for the month of April, and Judy will go into that. But the household income eligibility, that's a federal guidelines, in which we have to meet because we're using part of the CDBG funds that we receive from HUD. And HUD does require that the business owner is within their income limits, and we will go through those income limits as we go down the information. So this again, the application opened yesterday, and as I say, some people have applied already, and it's going to go through June 16th at 5 p.m. Please, at 5 p.m., make sure you've already entered or hit the submit button, because if not, the application would not count at all. So again, that's a 1-week window for you to not only gather the information but also submit the application. Just to give you an idea of what happens in the background, when the application deadline, which is June 16th, comes on the 17th, we will assign random numbers to all the applications. That way, it's not a first come first serve. It's again making sure it's fair. So it doesn't matter if you're the first application or the last application. A random number will be assigned to all applications, and then we will select the first 100 to 130, and then we will email those applicants. And we'll let them know that they need to submit the supporting documents that we will go over in order for us to then review those documents and see if they're eligible. Again, just to be very specific, we're going to be asking for many supporting documents. And so we're not asking you to submit those documents while you're applying. It's only if your application is selected, and then you'll receive an email. There'll be a secure link in the email that we send to you. And if you're not able to upload, we also have an encrypted email as well that we can send to you for you to reply back with those documents, because they're very sensitive personal documents as well. So all that being said, the amount that we're using is $1 million of our CDBG, the Community Development Block Grant Program, and those are funds that we receive from HUD. So let me turn it over to my colleague Judy, and she will talk about this button right here and everything else that's below.
Okay, so yes, so as Daniel mentioned, the application went live yesterday at 10 a.m. And so if you're ready and you have your documentation, you're gathering that, go ahead and apply. If you have any questions, we can deal with those today. One of the things that we wanted to talk about was that if you have received a grant from the Montgomery County Public Health Emergency Grant Program, you would not be eligible to receive funding from this as well. If you haven't heard about your public health emergency grant, go ahead and apply if you're eligible for this. We will reconcile that ourselves, just make sure that nobody gets a grant from both of those programs. We're trying to help as many businesses as possible, so we're trying to spread this to businesses that have not received funding from the county yet. So we're also trying to make sure this is very locally focused. So the business must either be physically located in Montgomery County, or the owner must reside in Montgomery County, and at least 51% of the business revenue must be generated in Montgomery County. As Daniel mentioned, it's 5 or fewer employees. These are micro enterprises. That would include the owner. You have to be able to demonstrate that you experienced a loss of revenue. We'll talk about that in more detail. But basically what we're going to do is establish a historical average monthly revenue, and then we're going to compare that to the April 2020 revenue for the business. And if there's a loss, that's what you will receive in the grant, up to $10,000, not to exceed. The owner may not be delinquent in any city, state, or federal taxes. They can't be delinquent in child support payments or other penalties. They must also be in good standing with the state of Maryland. So we'll provide you with information on how to check that. It doesn't apply to sole proprietors, but any other business that registers with the state of Maryland must be in good standing. Businesses have to have been established as of January 1st, 2020. We have to have some historical revenue data to compare to. So we're requiring that you have been established by the first of the year. You will provide business financial documentation that we'll discuss in a minute. You must have a DUNS number. There was some confusion. We've updated the information on this because we had seen on the Dun & Bradstreet website that it takes 2 or 3 days, but people were finding when they got there that it said it took 30 days. So we communicated with Dun & Bradstreet, and they said anyone applying for this program can call their government team at the number that Daniel's showing you right there, and they will help you get the DUNS number in the 2 to 3 day window. Okay, so go ahead and do that now because you need that DUNS number when you apply. Okay, and then if you can scroll back up, Daniel, thank you. The business owner must meet the established federal income criteria that Daniel will review in a minute and provide the documentation for that. And then also, this is a federal program, so any owner of the business needs to be a U.S. citizen or a qualified alien. And we've provided you with the definition of what a qualified alien is. So then if you meet those eligibility requirements, this is the financial information that we want you to gather. This is the business information, okay? So we want you to get your tax returns for either 2018 or 2019. Some people had not filed their 2019 taxes yet when all of this happened. If that's fine, just go ahead and provide 2018 instead. And then one of the following, either your profit and loss statement for April 2020 or your April 2020 bank statement showing revenue from the business. Now, for those businesses that are less than 2 years old, we're trying to provide you with some alternative documentation you can provide. Any tax returns that you've filed, interim profit and loss statements for January, February, and March of 2020, if you just became operational this year, or January, February, March 2020 bank statement showing your revenue. And then again, one of the following, either the April 2020 profit and loss statement, and that can be as simple as an Excel spreadsheet or something out of QuickBooks or something like that. Mm-hmm. Or your April 2020 bank statement showing revenue from the business. So again, DUNS number, call that number to get your DUNS number. And then here are the steps to determine if you're in good standing with the state of Maryland. If you're not, you need to get that resolved before you apply. And then again, that's not required for sole proprietors. Okay?
All right. So let me talk about this again, the side Judy just talked about. Those are the business side. Let me talk about the household income eligibility side. And as I stated earlier, these are requirements from HUD because we're using CDBG funds. So all applicants have to be within the range of their income limits. And these are limits that are set for the entire region. So 80% AMI. And they will determine in terms of the number of people within a household and the limits, the income limit within that household for you to be able to be eligible for their program, for HUD programs. So you can see the family size right over here. So from, again, one person within the household to all the way to eight people within the household, and you see the corresponding income limits. So let's just say that again, we are encouraging everybody to apply. Even if you're slightly over those household income limit, if your household income is above this limit slightly, just still apply, because if we select your application, we'll give you the opportunity to upload those supporting documentation, and then we can determine if you're way above the limits, or if you can fall within the range of the limit as well. So again, I'm saying that if your family income limits are slightly above this limit, please do not discourage yourself, or do not apply. Please apply, and then let us, if your application is selected, we will do all the calculations to determine eligibility. So these are the supporting documents that we're going to need. Again, this is for the household side, which again, it's HUD requirement because we're using federal funds. So the first part of it, we're going to need pay stubs that have year to date incomes, and for everyone in the household that's 18 or older. If you have an 18 or 19-year-old who maybe they're just I don't want to say just, maybe they're working as they're babysitting, or they are they're maybe walking somebody's dog and they get income for that, then you can get whoever's paying them to write a letter, and that could that should suffice when it comes to the documentation needed to prove that income. So again, pay stubs for the business owner, and in some cases, the business owners not only run the business, but also they work part-time as well. So if they're working part-time, we will need those pay stubs as well, and everybody within the household. The second thing we're going to need, again, anyone up 18 or above that's getting any form of income, but also that having supplemental income as well. So like Social Security, SSI, unemployment. All those statements, we are going to need a copy of it if your application is selected, because again, these are HUD requirements. And then finally, household assets. So every member within the household, any type of assets from checking accounts, saving accounts, and any other asset. We give you some examples here as well. We're going to need a statement for those accounts, so that again, if your application is selected, you will need to upload all of that for us to be able to determine you to be eligible for the program. And let me pause and say these are very sensitive information, and that's why we're not asking you to provide them up front. But also, if your application is selected, we will email you, and we'll provide a secure link in that email for you. When you click on that link, it'll open up a folder that's within the county, and you can securely drag and drop or just attach your document into that folder.
Upload.
Yeah, upload. That's at the touch. Upload it. Yes, upload it to the secure file. And if that does not work, then we will, as I say, we'll have encrypted emails that we will send to you, and you can reply to that email, attaching at that time the document. But again, these are not county requirement. These are federal requirement, because we're using CDBG funds that are coming from HUD, and so therefore they require this from all applicants to determine eligibility. Judy, you want to add anything to that before we go down?
Just the fact that we've gotten questions at almost every webinar about, look, my adult children are living in my house, they're not contributing to the household expenses, but they earn income, and do I have to include them? And the answer is yes. Anybody in the household that's 18 years and older counts toward the household income.
Exactly. All right, why don't you go ahead and talk about supplemental questions?
So one of the things we want to do is try and get an idea of the impact that this pandemic has had on our local business community. So we're going to ask you some narrative questions. Please describe the negative impact the pandemic has had on your business, including the number of employees that you've laid off, if any, and any other types of impacts this has had. We want to know how the funding you might receive from this program will help your business remain viable. Obviously, everybody's interested in preventing layoffs, keeping people employed as long as possible. So would this funding help with that? If applicable, tell us if there are new lines of business you've identified or services you might provide. This pandemic has actually created some areas of opportunity. So if you got this funding, would that allow you to pivot your business to something different and potentially create new jobs? Then we're also going to ask you, we mentioned earlier that if you receive funding through our Public Health Emergency Grant Program, you can't get funding in this. But if you've gotten funding from other assistance programs, that's fine. Go ahead and apply for this. The only restriction is you cannot use money you get from this program for the same thing that you used money from another program. No double dipping. So like just as an example, if you're getting unemployment, you can't use money from this program to pay yourself a salary for the same period of time that you took unemployment. So it just can't be for the same purpose. And then describe any other gaps in financing. So even if you were to get the $10,000 from this, is there still a gap between what you've received and what you need to prevent layoffs or create new jobs? So, and then what do you think you're going to do to fill those gaps? So we're just trying to get an understanding of the environment, what the need is, what our businesses are going to need to get through this. So those are the supplemental questions.
All right, so let me quickly talk about some of the resources we have put together for businesses that are going to be applying. Well, again, we have the sample application that is right here. What that allows, even when because of the application is live, you have to fill out each page, and there are required fields for each page. So therefore, you will not be able to see all the questions on the application, even though it's live. So that's where the sample application comes in, because you can actually download this as a PDF. You can download it and you can print it if you want. We don't necessarily need to print it, but you can download it and then write down all the answers to the questions. And so that when you're filling out the live application, it is easy for you to just, input the answers there. We've also put together FAQs, so they're frequently asked questions that we have, we've been receiving, and that's a working document. So which means whenever we get a question, if you ask us questions today that we feel like, hey, you know what, that needs to be on the FAQ, we will put it on the FAQ. And Judy, thank you, Judy, Judy's been doing an amazing job in terms of making sure that we have not only the entire site, but also especially very important questions within the FAQ. We've also provided that in Spanish as well. Another resource that we really want everyone to take advantage of is we have organizations that have agreed to help businesses apply for this grant. And Judy came up with a very good suggestion the other day, which is, make sure you reach out to them in advance and then set up, schedule. Let me click on that, the organization, so you see who they are. And just reach out to them and schedule a time. You can schedule a 20 minutes time or 30 minutes time, just for them to help you either fill out the application, or if you have any questions while you're filling out the sample application, they can also help you. The reason for that is because it'll be hard for you to reach one of us, because it's going to be difficult throughout the day. And it's just, it's these individuals, these organizations have really stepped up, not only for this program, even our previous program, where they helped lots of businesses. So these are lists. You can see some of them have not only emails where you can email and say, hey, can I schedule a 30-minute or 15-minute, call with you? And some of them actually have phone numbers, which you can call as well. And the other good thing about this is that they also have language capacity as well. So you can see Spanish, even Russian, Amharic, French, you see Mandarin, Vietnamese, Korean. So if you need help not only with the technology in terms of filling out the application, but if you need help in terms of language, they could actually help you in those languages as well. So that's a big resource that we want everyone to take care of. But meanwhile, let's say, if you have an immediate question and you want to send us an email, we've provided our email right here. You can just send us an email, and one of us will get back to you. with an answer. But again, if you're looking for like a 20-minute, 30-minute help in filling out the application, we really we strongly recommend that you reach out to one of our resource partners. Judy, did I leave anything out?
I think the only thing we didn't talk about was the 3-day window to provide the documentation. So I think, you know, we're telling people don't wait till the last minute to apply, but don't feel rushed either. So we're not asking for your documentation until after your application is selected, okay? But once your application is selected to be reviewed, you will have 72 hours to get us your documentation. We'll send you a reminder. We'll send you that link. But if you don't get your documentation in that 72-hour period, we're closing that application and we'll move on to the next one. The objective is to get money out to businesses as quick as we can. And so we just can't drag this out. So basically everybody that applies, so even if we go to the next applicant, they will have 72 hours to provide their documentation. So we're trying to be fair in terms of giving people time to get their application in. But once you get that notice that you have 3 days to provide the documentation, that's it, 72 hours. So that's why we want you to get your documentation together now.
Yep.
You can go ahead and apply, but be gathering that documentation so you're ready when we come back to you. And monitor your email. Look in your spam boxes, because sometimes people don't realize we've sent them a notification and it's in a spam or junk email box and they don't respond. So just be alert, be vigilant, make sure you know you're checking any place that email might have gone.
Absolutely. All right. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and open it up for question and answers. If you do have a question, please unmute yourself and go ahead and ask.
You could also put a question in the chat box if you're more comfortable just typing a question in.
Absolutely. So any question, again, as Judy said, you can type it into the chat box, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question. All right. Are there any questions?
And remember, if a question comes up later after you start looking at this information, please go ahead and send an email. And Daniel, did you highlight the actual web address?
Oh, yes, that's true. So yeah, if you're joining us for the first time, actually, this is the URL that you need to come to. This is a public site, so you can actually come in right now, and even, let's say, for example, after the webinar, you can come and look at all the things we just talked about. And this site is really, it's good because that's where you come to apply, but also that's where you come to when you're putting together the documentation that we're requesting. You can just go down and look at all the business in terms of the taxes and P&L or bank statement for the business, or then the household income piece, which includes, again, pay stubs, a supplemental income like Social Security statements, SSI statement, unemployment statement, and then also household assets like bank statements in terms of personal checking for all members of the household, and then savings, all members of the household. So all of that is on this website that we just covered. So again, please copy this URL or save this URL and then come back to it. Make sure you come when you're preparing, but also this is where you need to come when you're applying, and here is where you apply. All right, are there any questions right now? You can put them on the chat box or just unmute yourself. So one last time, any question to prove me wrong? That's all right. If not, again, oh, there you go. Something is blinking.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Oh, okay, there you go. All right, so someone was asking, okay, yeah, so this is also being live streamed as well. So for those who are watching it live, where it's been streamed, please come to this website and look at, again, all what we just discussed. And you can use this website, as we said, to put together all the supporting documentation that is needed to determine eligibility, but also this is where you'll come and then apply for the program. Go ahead, Judy.
I was just going to say, why don't you talk a little bit about Buzz 365?
Absolutely. I always give them a shout out because they are a local small business here in Montgomery County, and they have done a phenomenal job working with the county to do these webinars. This is our second week of webinars. And also, even for our previous program, they also conducted all those webinars as well. And that being said, we have webinars that are going on till you can tell I was afraid to say tomorrow because I thought today was Friday, but no, today's Thursday. So we have webinars that are going on till Saturday morning, the 13th. So again, there's one tomorrow, Friday, and another one on Saturday. And all of this is being brought to us by a local small business here in Montgomery County called Buzz 365 Media. And we really appreciate the work that they've done. All right. If there are no, well, let me just, are there any questions based on all what we've just talked about? If not, then we will go ahead and end the webinar. Any questions? Last question? No. All right. Junior, any final words?
Nope. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We're trying to help as many businesses as possible. We know we would not help all businesses. That's just the reality. But what we've done with both the FEG program and the MSP program, this one, is to see how much we can help. And every little from what we've heard from businesses does count to sustain them, because we really talk about just sustaining businesses right now instead of. So bear with us. Again, some of the programs some businesses may not be eligible for. Some you may be eligible for, or you may not be even eligible for both. But what we're trying to do is to help as many businesses as possible. So please, engage with us, send us an email, if you have any questions or anything, but the goal is, again, you can invite other businesses, other businesses that you think this program will benefit them. Please tell them to come to the website and take a look at it. We're encouraging as many businesses who feel like they're eligible to apply, because again, we want to help as many businesses as possible. So with that being said, thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to another webinar tomorrow, and we will end this session now.
Bye-bye.
Hi, I'm Daniel with Buzz 365 Media. We do in-person and remote live stream video productions. If you are having technical difficulties setting up a virtual meeting, conference, or workshop, give me a call. Buzz 365 Media is here to help you.